All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is my channel. This is your channel. This channel is for Tulsi Gabbard. In reality, it's called Save America, Vote for Tulsi Gabbard, where yours truly tries to convince the world, including former Trump supporters, to vote for Tulsi Gabbard. Now, there are some issues I think that we might talk about in the future, the conservative issues that I feel strongly about. Some people are asking me, so why are you conservative? What makes you conservative? And I'm conservative on one issue in particular. And you may disagree with my conservatism on this issue, but it's been an unchanging part of my life, and I don't see anybody convincing me to change my view on it. And I think we can coexist. I think that's a term that the left likes to use. And I believe it's a good thing. I'm libertarian to some degree on those sorts of things, but I'm kind of conservative on abortion, all right? And just that's my number one conservative issue. I think it's a wedge issue, though, and I think it's used as a battering ram against your opponents, and it's caused so much chaos and damage over the years with relationships, especially between men and women. And, you know, I'm just throwing that out there. That's pretty much my number one issue. I'm actually a lot more flexible on every other conservative issue except for that particular one. I'm pro-life at both the beginning of life and as far as prison sentences. I could see why some people would advocate for the death penalty. But I'm pretty consistent. I don't. I think if you do believe in God, I think God should determine the beginning and the end. That's, you know, I know it's a little theistic for some people, but that's where I come from. So there you go. And that was a confession. I don't know if I feel better about myself or if things are just going to go downhill from here and I'm going to lose subscribers. I did find out that the channel is now under review, which means that YouTube has it in their clutches and will be determining if I get monetized or not. That's because the number of subscribers continues to increase. Maybe after that confession, that will just plateau and start to go the other way. The main issue, though, I want to talk about today, since my confession is over, is Tulsi Gabbard and her ability to connect with voters on real issues. Specifically, when she was at that CNN town hall, and the military veteran asked her a question about sexual abuse in the military. And Tulsi Gabbard not only hit it out of the park, like the way she responded, because there was real empathy. She understood the question. She didn't just answer the question. She then gave anecdotal evidence to her answer, which showed me that she wasn't just giving her lip service. And the military veteran started to break down and cry a little bit. And Tulsi, at one point, saw her face. And Tulsi's face kind of went ashen a little bit, like, wow. I mean, because she knew at that point that this person had been directly impacted by this problem. And we are totally missing this right now from our commander-in-chief, who is emotional. He's not, that's a word I just made up, like amoral. There's just no... I mean, I remember when he was at that thing with Frank Luntz, and it was disturbing that he just he couldn't think of any time in his life where he had regrets, or he, you know, was trying to justify the fact that he's kind of like this blank slate when it comes to emotion. And that's who is in charge of our government right now, somebody who I don't think empathizes well. I don't think he's had to ever empathize in his life. I think it's just been one cutthroat venture after another. And at first I thought, hey, that'll be great. You know, we'll have somebody who's detached. But I want somebody who's attached to humanity running the government, who understands, by the way, and who can empathize with people from across the political spectrum and not just shut down somebody because they may have a view like I have on abortion. Just shut them down. Marginalize them. You can't talk to them. And that's kind of what we've had. We've had it from both sides, but we really have it now with Trump more so than ever. Because you almost feel like you hired this mercenary to go out and just plow everything down. And as much as people, including myself, wanted to blow everything up, I don't think we realized the damage it's going to do to relationships and to the people who disagree. Because Trump really is like, he's a reflection of who we are at that moment. Now, I know he didn't win the popular vote, but he won enough representation, so to speak, to kind of really, his leadership or lack thereof, or his style of governing, reflects what a lot of people are doing right now. They're just saying, I don't give a bleep. I don't give a F about my neighbor. I don't care anymore. And some of it is justified because the people on the bottom feel as though they're getting screwed. So they're acting out. And the people on the top, they don't care. They're set. Generations are set in their family. I mean, if you have $1 billion, you're kind of like, you can't spend it. There's no way to spend it all. And I'm not saying that I should come to your house and confiscate your wealth, but in the old days, and I think there was an old days where people would say to themselves, you know, maybe I should start a charity. Maybe I should give my money to an organization that does some good things. Maybe I should give a giant chunk of money to like St. Jude's Hospital. It's one of my favorite charities. And, you know, my mother gave to it. My father gave to it. And you would think to yourself, we're not doing the good that we used to do collectively. We're fragmenting, where the rich really are just getting richer and holding on to their wealth. There's no trickle down if you hold on to your wealth. I've noticed that. Every time this happens, there's a bigger and bigger income disparity. I mean, it may create a lot of grunt jobs, this type of economy. It certainly has. It's created some grunt level jobs, some low wage jobs, and typically you need more than one of them to make ends meet because you can't afford $1,400 a month for rent. Right? And I've gone off on a huge tangent here because I originally wanted to talk about Tulsi's ability to connect with people. And not just at that CNN town hall, but if you haven't seen it, her campaign uploaded that video a couple of hours ago. And it's one of the great moments so far in this campaign of any candidate. Any candidate answering a question. She, like I said, hit it out of the park. And there is a deficit right now of getting up in the morning and thinking that your commander-in-chief is a decent person. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people, including me at one point, said, well, I don't want that. I just want the president to get the job done. I didn't elect him to be a comforter-in-chief. You know, and you hear that a lot from conservatives who are trying to justify. But Ronald Reagan, for instance, had a real gentle spirit. I mean, he and Tip O'Neill would go out, and that was the day when partisanship wasn't where it is today. And Reagan knew if he was going to get anything he wanted, he had to be nice. He had to be a decent person. And I think he genuinely was a decent person. But Trump represents who we are to some degree right now. And that's scary because we don't really care if our president is a nice person anymore. We don't. I mean, Obama was a nice guy, no question about it. And George W. Bush was kind of like an amiable guy. But now we've gotten to the point where we've gotten mad. And so we want meanness. And the meanness is going to leave us empty inside. It's doing it to me. Because I feel like, oh, I'm partly responsible for this problem. You know, shutting the borders down completely yes, we need immigration reform for sure, but now we're going off the rails. And I don't understand. I don't hear anybody on the right saying we ought to shut the border down completely. And it's just like the military budget. I didn't hear that the military was saying, yes, give us another $50 billion that we didn't ask for, or whatever they got. Things are going off the rails, and a lot of us just feel like we're not connected to this. And Tulsi Gabbard has the ability to connect with voters and connect with human beings in a way. And I know, again, it's not the job of the president to be the comforter-in-chief number one. Commander-in-chief is the most important thing. Leader of the free world, setting an example. And also setting an example, though, I believe, for the rest of the country. It's just an inherent thing that the president gets when they become the president. Because kids in school are going to be taught, well, who's the president? They've got to be taught that. I'm sure some schools have decided they're not going to teach about that anymore. Like, who's the president? Kids know it's Trump. But, I mean, when you're thinking, do you actually talk about this person? Do you hate them politically so much that you don't talk about them? Usually that's not the case. But if you don't like them as a person, that's something new. And I think we've reached a place where I can look back at all the presidents in my lifetime and not... Donald Trump is different. He's different in that regard. Because everybody else, you can kind of think, well, maybe Nixon was not a nice dude. I heard LBJ was kind of a jerk, but it's not anything that's on display. Nixon wasn't on display being, tricky dick, okay? That wasn't what he was, at least on the outside. Trump is like, tell the Russians to get out. It's like, that's not what a president is supposed to be, okay? A president is supposed to choose words carefully and try to be diplomatic and try to work things out. So in any event, Tulsi Gabbard has that skill set. And it's another reason why I'm here doing this channel, because our discourse has to improve or we're all screwed. We're never going to see each other's points of view. You're never going to agree with my stance on abortion. That's fine. But the mutual respect we should have for one another, we should be able to come together on the issues that are going to save our country and maybe save our planet, whether that be the climate or the war stuff. I mean, look, you won't have to worry about climate change if we have a nuclear war, because you'll have a new climate. You'll have a completely redefined climate, and we won't be able to argue about greenhouse gases anymore. So, just saying. We need a president that can communicate and empathize and lead and be a good example to our kids and just to our citizenry in general. Okay, so I'm done with that video. Hopefully you're still with me. If you've unsubscribed because I spoke some conservatism here, think of maybe coming back. Look, I'm not going to beat anybody over the head over here on any topic for the most part. If we disagree, it's all right. It's, America, and we should probably disagree on a few things. All right, talk to you all soon. See you then.